If you're an Xbox Series X fan, what drew you to the platform this generation? Well, I could tell you personally what drew me to the platform. I'll be honest. Originally, back in 2020, maybe 2019, I wasn't planning on getting the Xbox Series X at launch. I didn't think there was really much of a reason to, because at the time I was still kind of angry at Microsoft. They would do this build up to E3 and then never really release anything. They bought ZeniMax Studios pretty much right around the time that they put the pre-orders up for the Series X. So I was like, okay, they're really serious about exclusives. I'm going to go ahead and buy in. And so I did. I've had an Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5 both since launch, and I haven't looked back. It's been pretty cool. There's gaming. Everybody's gonna have like their own thing that they do. For me, I love gaming. Even right now, there's bad news always going on around Xbox, but that hasn't really changed much. Over the years, to be quite honest with you, it's always been just bad news this and bad news that, and I hope that we see. I think things kind of change in the future where there could be some positivity. But one of the things that really annoys me about this generation, right, because I think the Series X is a great console that's been horribly underutilized by developers, even Microsoft's own developers. Now, whether that's because they have to develop for the Series S as well, whether that's because they have to develop for potato PCs, whatever the case may be, I feel like they've really underutilized it. There is no way that, and I know that it's more than just T-flops, but PS4 or PS5, excuse me, 9-something T-flops versus 13 with the Xbox. Xbox can do like hardware shaders and all this kind of stuff, and the PS5 can only do like software emulated ones and things. So it does kind of annoy me. So you hear Microsoft say stuff like, well, we want people to come to Xbox and realize that Xbox is this or that, or we want our games to be either first on Xbox or best on Xbox. And we know that Xbox is porting their games to, other platforms, including Switch and as well as like the PlayStation 5. So what really kind of is, I think, bugging people is the fact that some of these games are potentially, if not outright, will run best on the, PlayStation 5. So like this, and we don't have the definitive answer to this just yet, and this type of game, I don't think it really matters, but it's still interesting to look at. So it looks like Pentiment is including unique PS5 features. Obviously, with the announcement that Microsoft is set to bring a select number of exclusive Xbox titles to PlayStation and Switch, many fans wonder just how much the publisher would allow its teams to take advantage of the competing pieces of hardware. It looks as though the power of the PS5 will be fully utilized, adding DualSense features and more. The PlayStation 5 version of Obsidian Entertainment's Pentiment seems to take full advantage of the console's unique hardware, presumably using the console's Kraken compression technology. The game takes up just 6.37 gigabytes compared to the Xbox version's 11.4 gigabytes. Great things come in small packages, and despite the unique selling point for the PlayStation 5, Pentiment actually offers support for the DualSense features and advanced haptics, etc., an unexpected yet welcome surprise. Finally, the PS5 version of the game can run at 120 frames per second on supported displays of all the aforementioned exclusive features. The one will most likely find its way to Xbox versions at some point. It's encouraging to see that devs are taking advantage of everything that the PS5 can do. So, again, Xbox, I think the Xbox has a really good controller, right? Their base controller. They didn't innovate on it. If you look at Xbox, right? They had the Duke, and then they came out with a slimmer one, and then the 360 had this amazing controller, right? We all know the 360 is widely regarded as having maybe the best controller of all time. And then, they went to Xbox One, and that was a really good controller as well. But, do you really want to stay with that for, that exact same thing for, all this time, for a decade plus or whatever the case may be? I think that's probably a question that people would ask themselves. And that's probably why the PlayStation 5 feels more a little bit like a next generation and evolution type situation. So that's sort of how we're seeing things on the Xbox side. Like if you're an Xbox fan, I could see why this would piss you off. Also, I could see why maybe it wouldn't, because it's just Pentiment. But I mean, imagine, down the line when they inevitably release Starfield or whatever on PlayStation, if that's like a 60 frames game or whatever, because Sony does prioritize the frame rate thing. Like they made sure that their games run at multiple different options for frame rate. So, for example, like they have really, really good looking games, even if they're games I'm not a fan of, right? So you look at something like Horizon Forbidden West. I don't like that game, but it's gorgeous and has a 60 FPS option. So, we continue to see stuff like that kind of pop out. And, Microsoft realistically has a kind of a hard time with their own stuff, right? Like if we're looking at like games specifically for Xbox Series X, not on cross-gen or anything like that, I think we're sort of in a weird situation. And I hope anyway that Microsoft kind of gets the act together a little bit. Like people bought into this generation, to be honest with you, because they wanted to play games at like a higher frame rate and things like that. So, at the end of the day, Microsoft hasn't exactly delivered with their promises, and I think that is a huge issue going forward into the future, because a lot of people go, oh, well, if they launch early with their next console, they can do this or that or the other thing, maybe get a jump on PlayStation. The only way that, that really works where you can get a jump on PlayStation and stuff like that is, to be quite frank with you, if they have like exclusives. I think you have to have exclusives that are going to be exclusive, and that they're going to really support and take advantage of the platform, right? Because right now, right, they're already promising we're going to have the biggest leap ever, et cetera, et cetera. But you look at things and you go, okay, well, they had a huge leap supposedly between Xbox One and Xbox Series X, but yet nothing really took advantage of it. And the third parties aren't really taking advantage of it. And the reason why they're not taking advantage of it is because they're making games on the PlayStation 5 and then porting them to Xbox, because most developers, even large developers, don't have numerous teams to co-develop at the same time. So they're just making a version on PlayStation 5 and their same architecture basically, so they're porting it, but it's not going to take the same advantage of what Xbox has to offer as it does the PlayStation. So you're getting, PlayStation versions that work and perform better. And that's exactly what we've seen. And that's going to continue to happen next year too. There is no way. It doesn't really matter what Microsoft does, right? People don't trust them. So the developers are going to continue to make games on PlayStation. And that's just what's going to happen. So, it's unfortunate. Microsoft kind of shot themselves in the foot with their poor marketing, their poor, just the way that they shoot themselves in the foot. I've never seen anything like it in my life. It's really unfortunate. But I don't know. I'm still hoping they put out some great games, and I want to do some positive Xbox content. But let me know how you guys feel about this. I'm very curious. Do you care that the Xbox games are performing better or could potentially perform better on PlayStation? Let me know down below. Rack 'em up. I'm Crap Gamer. This has been Crap Gamer Reviews. Crap Gamer out.